When we look closely, we'll see that every season has its own little pattern. Every flower and every bud, every row and everything we see, every habit we have, and everything in nature has a pattern. All our habits and things we repeat doing are patterns, and they are patterns of our own divine nature. Just like nature has flowers with patterns and growth patterns, so too we have patterns in our lives. Here's the thing about patterns I want you to understand. Patterns aren't always repeated in the same way. Here in this repeat pattern, I am not repeating the exact same drawing around a circumference or on a straight line. I took those little flowers and the concept of their repetitiveness and kept on drawing, kept on creating different versions of it. And every single version of that flower is now a pattern. It still follows that very same blueprint. Yes, this is illustrative, but what I am trying to illustrate to you is seeing how we can repeat the same shapes, the same patterns, the same little blossoms and leaves to create other types of patterns. Things that seem like chaos, but that really are connected by their shape and form and line quality. Sometimes these patterns are connected by color, and sometimes these patterns are connected by what we interpret ourselves. So let's look at more things in nature so we can understand these patterns and transformations better. Just like every plant has its own season for blooming, so too our lives has a season of blooming, a season of change, and a season of reflection. And sometimes we have to pause to see when that will happen. Looking at this opened papaya, we can see that shape of the flower is captured inside where the seeds are held. So if you can imagine everything in nature and their specific patterns to be a structure or a foundation or a DNA message of what this plant will look like, giving every single plant in nature its own unique pattern. Bring in the African violet. This comes from my windowsill. So it's like giving a plant or nature a blueprint for its own existence. So the way this plant knows what it is and what it should look like is held within that structure. And every time it pushes out a new leaf or pushes out a new flower, it literally becomes a better version of itself. And that's what we do. We also become better versions of ourselves every time we push out a new idea or a new thought, or we practice something new. That new thing then becomes part of our being. We could literally say that the consciousness of this plant is manifested to look like this. And every time it pushes out a new branch or a new leaf or a new flower, it knows exactly what that consciousness looks like, and it continues to produce what it is. And we also have an imprint of what it means to look like a human. But every time you have something that's put back into you, like a thought, like an action, like a habit, like a new piece of wisdom that you found or discovered or want to strive towards, then you become your best version. We've got a lot to learn from nature and to see how these things build upon each other. And the best way I know how to transform these emotions and feelings and things are through watercolor practices. And that watercolor helps you to not only rinse off, like we said last month, rinse off the negative thought, but also when we bring that glorious color into our creative space and into our design, we get to choose what that looks like. So let's mix up that one color. Oops, that one color we discovered. It's that corally reddish pink. And I want to put it right there in that part of the design and liven it up again. But I could very easily decide, but I'm going to do every second one in that color and everything in between another color. And having the freedom, that human mind freedom, to make a new choice, to choose another direction, is exactly why we use these natural formations, geometry, freestyle sketching, and all the ideas we could possibly come up with to create beauty in the world. It doesn't have to look like somebody else's work. It doesn't have to look a specific way. It doesn't have to have a certain outcome. All you are doing here is discovering how life works, discovering how things fit together, finding out how you fit into all of the processes and bringing all of it together in a creative practice. So don't forget that anything can be changed with a single thought. Anything can begin to look a little bit different the minute you set your new intentions on it. And if you are bothered by ongoing thoughts and emotions that don't feel right or don't feel the way you want to feel, try out one of the 6 practices. These mindful practices can be done in any of your books: journaling with color splashes, diary notes, and whatever you need to remember, thought journaling by writing actual words. Then we have sketching and drawing. I love doing that on a sunny day outside. And nature journaling. Nature journaling can help you learn about the world around you. And asemic writing is one of those beautiful things that you can use to get stuck emotions out by writing about it, by expressing yourself, and by doing something that your brain isn't used to doing or used to using. And bringing your creative consciousness together to bring forth the thing you really want in life. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to go through it all alone. You have us. You have this beautiful community. You have me. And whatever you're going through, whatever you're struggling with, whether it be emotional or the actual drawing part or sketching part, every time you pick up your pencil, every time you pick up your brush, you are learning to express yourself. You are finding new ways to see how life is expressing itself. And through that conscious interaction between nature and patterns, and then your patterns and your consciousness, you begin to unlock a deep secret about yourself. Now, I cannot tell you what that secret is. What I do know is it helps for you to be in a creative space so that your thoughts can unlock itself, so that you can realize how much you are connected to the rest of the universe, the rest of everything that's going on here on this planet, and that we are not separate from each other either. And once we realize that there is no separation, there is no outside of ourselves, then we get to mend friendships, we get to mend families, we get to mend our own consciousness, and we also get to transform all of the negativity and the bad things we've been experiencing into something positive and more acceptable to what we want to experience next. So don't ever be afraid to do that self expression in your sketchbooks. Take the risk to try something new. Think up a new thought and then give yourself some space to feel it, to understand it, to realize what the message is behind the thought. Why are you thinking that thought? Why are you feeling the way that you are feeling? What brought it on? How can I change my mind to make a better choice next time? And if you go back to our printables, there's a whole section where you can make a promise to yourself to think about what the thing is you want to change and then make that promise to yourself and monitor how are you going, how are you making these decisions, how are you progressing in those decisions, what can you choose different next time, and then see how do you feel about the results. And all of these things are going to take place over time, and that's exactly how it should be, because we cannot have this sudden download of information and then don't know what to do with it all. We need that systematic unlocking of all the processes we need to go through, all the ideas that are formed, so that we can get clarity to know what to do next. The next step isn't always crystal clear, and that's why we need a calm mind to get to that crystal clear place where all our thoughts can come together. Oops. And what does it matter if something like that happens in your sketchbook? This isn't work you're going to present to a client. This is your heart's work. It's your consciousness. It's your creativity coming to life on a piece of paper. And that piece of paper can always be redone, reused, repurposed, or even reimagined. Like I said before, it's just that basic structure, that basic seed of life that has the potential to become anything. And once you realize that you can also become anything, and any one of your thoughts can become greater. I picked this in the garden this morning, remembering that a plant grows outwards from itself. And every time it pushes out this new cluster of leaves, it looks chaotic. But once they appear and show their glory to the world, they are in a way already perfect. And when you put them side by side, you'll see that they carry that initial signature, that initial DNA footprint, but they are each individually striving to look like the mother plant, to look like the original plant. And I think that's what we are doing, is we are evolving, we are changing, we are growing towards source consciousness. We are yearning to become like our creator. It doesn't matter what you call your creator, but that thought and emotion and structure you carry within you is striving to become part of it all. We sometimes feel some kind of separation within us, and that separation isn't good for us. But if you can keep in mind that the feeling you are feeling while you are in this state of separation is just a thought, and you can change your thoughts into anything. You can make a new decision today, and it will already start to develop by tomorrow or even the next minute. We sometimes stay stuck because we do not make the next choice. And that is your process now, is to figure out what is your choice. What is the thing you need to do to make your life better, to bring about a clarity for whatever is coming next into your life? How can you think about bringing a new thought to mind, a new idea of what your life could look like? And then taking small steps, just like we build one element of this sacred circle, so too you can build whatever you need, whatever you want, with one small step. And I think we can also begin to discern whether we are making giant leaps or small leaps forward. And at some point, you're going to see that you have enough information, enough resources, enough inner knowledge and wisdom to make that big change. And it will only be based off of your own experiences, what you brought into your life, and how you are willing to step forward. Now make sure every single page that you do from here on forward is one that is done with creativity and practices in mind, but not perfection. We are not striving to get the end result of perfection. We are striving to learn, to gain inner wisdom, to find better ways of getting to the results we want. And in these practices, you'll begin to notice how easy those things begin to flow when you remain in the flow state with a calm mind and think through things with clarity. It's been beautiful to take you on this patterns in nature journey as we transform everything from that black and white initial drawing into something more concrete with the outlines, and then using our watercolors to transform that black and white image into something beautiful. So the next thing we are going to do is we're going to take those ideas to our back cover design, and that back cover design is going to come together in next week's lesson. What you can do in the meantime is transform some of these patterns that you've come up with to complement your border. Now you can either do them on separate strips like the spine, and stick them on, or you can draw them directly on here, or you can continue in your sketchbook on your pages to develop these little creative ideas. And just take a blue, like we've done in this background, and outline those circles and the lines, that net of anger. Um, Outline those, put some gold on there to indicate to your consciousness that you have, in fact, learned how to transform anger, how to transform difficult situations, and that you are now standing next to the pearl of wisdom of one season of your life as we prepare to change into a new season. Now, I had another look at these little flowers and decided to design another pattern, this time on the edge of a sketchbook. Playing on the edges of your sketchbooks, adding little intricate designs, little reminders of buds or flowers or twigs you saw somewhere, can absolutely transform your emotions, it can transform your thoughts, and it can transform your ideas. These mindful moments help you to discern between the choices you have. And believe me, you do have choices. Sometimes we cannot notice these choices because we've been in a mind space that doesn't allow a natural thought process to happen. But as soon as we decide to do something, the next step will make itself known. It will become more prominent what you need to do next. And just like we are doing one petal at a time, one line at a time, and one little element at a time, when we are creating patterns, so too we can create new patterns, new habits, and new choices that we keep to ourselves in the form of promises. Please revisit the PDF that I've created for us this month to see how you can find those pearls of wisdom as you create and make room in your mind to think about solving your own problems and to make the next choice to a well deserved change and maybe a refreshing new start.